Hi,
She's
everyone, and welcome to the Media Literacy Week Showcase. Thank you for coming to our presentation today. We are the Association for Media Literacy, and we're excited to celebrate Media Literacy Week 2024 with you all. My name is Chelsea Atwell. I am the co-vice president of the Association for Media Literacy located in Toronto, Ontario. I also teach kindergarten there, and of course, I like to embed media literacy throughout the day. I'd like to introduce my co-presenter today. Hi, Micheline.
Hi, I'm Mihaline Mithrazi. I'm a director with the Association for Media Literacy, and I'm a high school English, social sciences, special education teacher with the Toronto District School Board. Before we begin, it's customary on this side of Turtle Island to acknowledge the traditional and ancestral lands of Indigenous peoples at the beginning of events, gatherings, and meetings. So we want to thank the Mississaugas, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat for hosting us on their lands today. We also acknowledge that as signatories to the Toronto Purchase Treaty, we have a duty to ensure our governments live up to their treaty obligations. And as newcomers to the territories covered under the Dish with One Spoon Agreement, we recommit to peacefully sharing the resources of this land in the spirit of mutual cooperation and sustainability.
Thank you, Micheline. So the resource we'd like to share with you today is the Media Triangle. The Media Triangle is a graphic framework that was presented to the Association for Media Literacy by Eddie Dick of the Scottish Media Council. It is based on the key concepts and can be used by educators and students directly in the classroom to facilitate and organize discussions and analysis. Let's take a closer look. This triangular design sends a healthy message to students because it encourages them to explore media experiences from multiple perspectives.
The Media Triangle activates the key concepts of media literacy and provides a framework for educators to engage in discussion with students, which can further support the inquiry process. The Media Literacy Triangle is a second framework. It isn't better than the key concepts, but it offers an alternative framework and a useful graphic organizer for discussion and inquiry about media. For more information about the AML key concepts, you can scan the QR code you see on the screen.
The triangle has three sides. They're labeled text, audience, and production. The meanings of the media experience results from the combination of these 3 points of view. This multiple perspectives approach is one of the greatest strengths of media studies. When using the media triangle, a reader imagines a media text in the middle of the triangle or a media experience. Micklene's going to talk to us a little bit more about what each side means.
Thanks, Chelsea. The term text on this side of the triangle refers to any media experience, including clothing, architecture, voice, and all electronic media experiences. Commodity is an especially compelling concept because it not only refers to the buying and selling of media experiences such as videos and texts, but it's also users' data is collected and packaged and sold like a commodity. In other words, the audience is the product. Intertextuality is also compelling because it helps us to recognize and understand the richness that occurs when one media experience references other media experiences. The audience side of the triangle includes discussions of 7 audience characteristics. Textual competence, the goal of media literacy education, refers to an audience member's proficiency in understanding the codes and conventions used in the media experience. Social function is also a compelling audience quality because different audience members use media in different ways. The production side of the triangle also involves 7 characteristics. It becomes increasingly important as more and more users become producers, aka prosumers. Production meanings are especially compelling because there are so many distribution and legal issues currently in play. Control is also an important production issue because of privacy and user license agreements and copyright challenges. And of course, all this meaning making takes place within a very specific sociocultural and historical context. Taken together, these concepts are very ambitious and can understandably intimidate students and teachers alike. Because of this, the Association for Media Literacy suggests that only one or two items from each side be explored at any one time.
The Association for Media Literacy has created a version of the triangle with questions that prompt student thinking about each side of the triangle. Educators and students can choose any side of the triangle to start, and the reader makes meaning using the prompts that are provided. It doesn't matter where the reader starts on the triangle, analysis can move freely from one side to the other. And oftentimes you'll find when you start asking one question, it will lead to another question on the other side of the triangle. To get a copy of the triangle, it's absolutely free. You can scan the QR code on your screen.
Here are the 9 questions from the text side. Again, the Association for Media Literacy suggests that teachers address only 2 or 3 of these in any one lesson. And here are the 8 questions from the audience side. I'll give you a couple of seconds to scan them rather than reading them to you. And lastly, the 9 questions from the production side.
Educators can adjust the questions to suit their learning community. For example, you can see there's a difference between the questions that Micheline just shared and the questions that you see here. There's less, the questions are perhaps shorter, more condensed. This is an example of a media triangle that you could use, say, in a junior classroom.
And of course, any good graphic organizer can be used for both deconstruction and construction. So the media triangle is no different. Students and teachers can use this heuristic for both analysis and creation of media texts and experiences. AML has also created a version of the triangled questions, for example, that contains prompts for students to think about when producing their own media texts and experiences. Again, all of these different versions of the triangle we're showcasing for you today are available on our website and in our exhibition booth. Or you can scan the QR code to access this version of the triangle in our Essential Frameworks page. AML has also created an information literacy version of the triangle, which prompts students to think critically and act responsibly about information they're consuming. This one happens to be my personal favorite as a high school teacher since about 2016, let's say, as I find the questions are excellent for getting my students to think critically about the viral news that they are consuming on social media, especially in this age of mis and disinformation. Again, you can scan the QR codes to see this version on our website.
And speaking of social media, we also have created a social media triangle to facilitate critical thinking about social media apps themselves to help students use them mindfully and effectively. Again, you can scan the QR code and or visit our website or our Media Literacy Week booth to get a copy of this to use for yourself. And we also have created an anti-bias, anti-racist media triangle. It reconfigures the key concepts to mobilize critical thinking about anti-bias, anti-racism issues. All of the anti-bias, anti-racism themes are media related because bias and racism through bias are communicated through various media forms and environments. Again, these are all available on our website for free under Essential Frameworks or the QR code.
So thank you so much for coming to our presentation today. And if you like what you saw here, we invite you to visit our website, aml.ca, for more media literacy ideas. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, which is where most professionals seem to be migrating these days, as the site formerly known as Twitter descends further into late stage acidification. We're also on Instagram, so you can scan the QR code to follow us there if this is your preferred platform. And of course, we're on Facebook as well. So if this is your preferred platform, you can scan the QR code to find us there.
And if you have any questions, we're happy to take them. Thank you so much for joining us.